Have you ever stood next to something so big, so old, that it just completely changes your perspective on everything? I'm talking about the true giants of our planet, trees that have been around for thousands of years watching history unfold. Today, we're on a quest to answer what seems like a simple question. What is the single largest tree on Earth?
There's this quote that really just hits the nail on the head. These trees aren't just big plants. They're living monuments. They are the definition of patience, a symbol of life just slowly, powerfully building on itself, season after season. So that leads us right to our big question. And it sounds easy, doesn't it? Just find the biggest tree and you're done. But as you're about to find out, crowning a champion is way more complicated than you'd think. It all comes down to how you define largest. Yeah, this is where it gets tricky. See, the title for world's largest is totally up for debate, because big can mean a few different things. Are we talking about the heaviest tree, the absolute tallest, or maybe the one that's just ridiculously wide? Each one of those questions gives us a different winner, with a totally different strategy for becoming a giant. Okay, so let's break it down. We're looking at 3 key metrics. First up is volume. That's the total amount of space the tree takes up, the whole shebang. Then you've got height, a pure straight-up race for the sky. And finally, girth, which is all about the unbelievable, mind-boggling width of the trunk. Let's go meet the champion of each one. All right, first up, let's talk about the king of sheer mass, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Meet the General Sherman, a giant sequoia in California that holds the title for the largest living tree by volume, period. Just look at that number. We're talking over 1,400 cubic meters of wood. To give you some perspective, that's like an entire office building's worth of mass in a single living thing. This tree's game isn't about being the tallest. It's about pure, unmatched bulk. So how in the world does a tree get that massive? Well, its secret is pretty wild. It's all about its relationship with fire. Giant sequoias have this incredibly thick, fire-resistant bark. But here's the paradox, they actually need fire to survive. Fire clears out all the competing plants on the forest floor, and get this, the heat actually helps their cones pop open and release seeds. For the sequoia, fire isn't the enemy, it's a partner in life. Okay, let's shift gears. If General Sherman is the heavyweight boxer, our next champion is the supermodel, impossibly tall, slender, and always reaching for the sky. Let's talk about the coast redwoods, and one tree in particular named Hyperion. Hyperion clocks in at a staggering 116 meters. I mean, try to even picture that. That is taller than a 35-story skyscraper. It makes the Statue of Liberty look small. These trees are pushing the absolute physical limits of how tall anything can get on this planet. So how on earth do they pull that off? Well, it takes some serious bioengineering. Coast redwoods have this amazing internal plumbing, a system of tubes called xylem that act like millions of tiny straws, sucking water all the way to the top against gravity. But their real secret weapon? It's the fog. That classic Northern California coastal fog actually lets the leaves absorb water directly from the air. It's like a secondary hydration system that makes life at that insane height possible. So there you have it, the tale of the tape. In one corner, you've got General Sherman, the sequoia, the champion of volume, using fire to get ahead. And in the other corner, Hyperion, the redwood, the champion of height, using fog to reach the clouds. 2 incredible giants, 2 totally different game plans for achieving greatness. But hold on, we're not done. There's one more metric to consider, girth. This one isn't about mass or height. It's about pure mind-bending width. And for this, we've got to travel outside of North America to meet some truly one-of-a-kind champions. Down in Oaxaca, Mexico, you'll find the Árbol del Tule. Its circumference is an insane 42 meters. Just think about that. You would need about 25 adults all holding hands just to circle its base. For the longest time, everyone assumed it had to be a bunch of trees that had fused together. But nope, genetic testing proved it's all one single, unbelievably wide tree. And then you've got Africa's baobabs. Now, their strategy for being huge is completely different from all the others. They grow these enormous swollen trunks, not for strength, but to act as giant water tanks. We're talking thousands of liters of water, stored up to survive some of the harshest droughts on Earth. They are literally living canteens. Okay, so we've met the champions of volume, height, and girth. But these record breakers aren't the only giants out there. So let's do a quick lightning round, a rapid world tour of some other colossal trees that absolutely deserve a shout out. First stop, right up in Oregon. Here you'll find the Dorner fir. At almost 100 meters tall, it's the tallest tree in the world that isn't a redwood, proving that the Pacific Northwest has more than one kind of giant. Hopping over to Australia, we meet Centurion. This eucalyptus also breaks that 100-meter barrier, but here's its claim to fame. It's the tallest flowering plant on the planet. This isn't a conifer like the others. It's a totally different branch of the tree family tree, and it's right up there competing for the crown. And finally, deep in the rainforests of Borneo, there's Menara, a yellow Moranti that also tops 100 meters. What's so amazing about this one is the competition. It has to fight for every single ray of sunlight in one of the most crowded ecosystems on Earth, which makes its incredible height even more impressive. So, we've been throwing around all these incredible numbers, these measurements of height, volume, and girth. But the real meaning of these trees, their true significance, goes so much deeper than just their size. You see, what's truly profound is that these trees are living archives. Every single ring inside that massive trunk tells the story of a year on Earth. They hold the records of centuries of drought and rain. They show evidence of ancient forest fires. They literally contain the stories of our planet's shifting climates, giving us a direct, physical link to a world that existed long, long before any of us. When you think about it, these giants operate on a timescale that our human brains can barely even comprehend. They really challenge us to think differently about our own brief moment here on this planet. And that leaves us with one final thought. In our fast-paced, instant gratification world, what can these ancient, patient, resilient beings teach us about just slowing down?